Jeff and his family had just moved into a new neighborhood. His dad gotten a promotion at work and thought it would be best to live in one of those fancy neighborhoods. Jeff and his brother Lou couldn't complain though. A new, better house. What's not to love? As they were getting unpacked, one of their new neighbors came by. "Hello," she said. "I'm Barbara. I live across the street from you, and well, I just wanted to introduce myself and to introduce my son." She turns around and calls her son over. "Billy, these are our new neighbors." Billy said hi and ran back into his yard to go play. "Well," said Jeff's mom, "I'm Margaret, and this is my husband Peter and my two sons, Jeff and Lou." They each introduced themselves, and then Barbara invited them to her son's birthday party. Jeff and his brother were about to object when their mother said they would love to. When Jeff and his family are done packing, Jeff went up to his mom. "Mom, why did you invite us to some kid's party? If you haven't noticed, I'm not some dumb kid." "Jeff," said his mother, "we just moved here. We should show that we want to spend time with our neighbors. Now, we're going to that party, and that's final." Jeff started to talk, but stopped himself, knowing that he couldn't do anything. Whenever his mom said something, it was final. He walked up to his room and plopped down on his bed. He sat there looking at his ceiling when suddenly he got a weird feeling. Not so much pain, but a weird feeling nevertheless. He dismissed it as just some random feeling. He heard his mother call him down to get his stuff, and he walked down to get it. The next day, Jeff walked down the stairs to get his breakfast and got ready for school. As he sat there eating his breakfast, he once again got that feeling. This time it was stronger. It gave him a slight tugging pain, but he once again dismissed it. As he and Lou finished breakfast, they walked down to the bus stop. They sat there waiting for the bus, and then all of a sudden some kid on a skateboard jumped over them, only inches above their laps. They both jumped back in surprise. "Hey, what the hell?" The kid landed and turned back to them. He kicked his skateboard up and caught it with his hands. The kid seems to be about 12, 1 year younger than Jeff. He was wearing a normal shirt and blue ripped jeans. Well. It looks like we got some new meat. Suddenly the other two kids appeared, one super skinny and the other one huge. "Well, since you're new here, I'd like to introduce ourselves. Over there is Keith." Jeff and Lou looked over to the skinny kid. He had a dopey face that you would expect a sidekick to have. "And he's Troy." They looked over at the fat kid. Talk about a tub of lard. This kid looked like he hadn't exercised since he was crawling. "And I," said the first kid, "am Randy." Now, for all the kids in the neighborhood, there is a small price for the bus fare, if you catch my drift. Lou stood up, ready to punch the lights out of the kid's eye, when one of his friends pulled a knife on him. "I had hoped that you would have been more cooperative. but it seems we must do this the hard way." The kid walked up to Lou and took his wallet out of his pocket. Jeff got that feeling again. Now it was a truly strong, a burning sensation. He stood up, but Lou gestured to him to sit down. Jeff ignored him and walked up to the kid. "Listen here, you little punk. Give my bro back his wallet, or else." Randy put the wallet back into his pocket and pulled out his own knife. "Oh, and what are you gonna do?" Just as he finished the sentence, Jeff popped him in the nose. As Randy reached for his face, Jeff grabbed the kid's wrist and broke it. Randy screamed, and Jeff grabbed the knife from his hand. Troy and Keith rushed Jeff, but Jeff was way too quick. He threw Randy to the ground. Keith lashed out at him, but Jeff ducked and stabbed him in the arm. Keith dropped his knife, falling to the ground, screaming. Troy rushed him too, but Jeff didn't even need the knife. He just punched Troy right straight in the stomach, and Troy went down. As he fell, he puked all over Lou. Puked all over. Lou couldn't do anything but look in amazement at Jeff. "Jeff, how did you..." That's all he said. They saw the bus coming and they knew they would be blamed for the entire thing. So they started running as fast as they could. As they ran, they looked back and saw the bus driver rushing over to Randy and the others. Jeff and Lou made it to school and didn't dare tell what happened. All they did was sit there and listen. Lou just thought of his brother beating up a few kids, but Jeff knew it was something scary. As he got the feeling, he felt how powerful it was. The urge to just hurt someone. He didn't like the sound of it, but he couldn't help but feeling happy. He felt that strange feeling go away and stay away for the entire day of school. Even as he walked home due to the whole thing near the bus stop. Now, he would probably wouldn't be taking that bus anymore. And he felt happy. When he got home, his parents asked him how his day was, and he said in a somewhat ominous tone, "It was a wonderful day." The next morning, he heard a knock at the front door. He walked down to find 2 police officers at the door, his mother looking back at him with an angry look. "Jeff, these officers tell me that you attacked 3 kids, that it wasn't regular fighting, and there was stabbed, son." Jeff's gaze fell to the floor, showing his mother that was all true. "But, Mom, they were the ones who pulled the knives on me and Lou." "Son," said one of the cops, "we found 3 kids, 2 stabbed, 1 having bruises on his stomach, and we have witnesses proving that you fled the scene. Now, what does that tell us?" Jeff knew it was no use. He could say him and Lou had just been attacked, but there was no proof that it was them who attacked first. They couldn't say that they weren't fleeing because, well, truth be told, they were. So Jeff defended himself. He couldn't defend himself or Lou. "Son, call down your brother." Jeff couldn't do it, since it was him who beat up all the kids. "Sir, it was me. I was the one who beat up the kids. Lou tried to hold me back, but he couldn't stop me." The cop looked at his partner and they both nodded. "Well, kid, it looks like a year in juvie." "Wait!" says Lou. They all looked up at him, seeing him hold a knife. The officers pulled their guns and locked it on Lou. "It was me. I beat up those little punks. I have the marks to prove it." He lifted up his own sleeves to reveal cuts and bruises, as if he was in a struggle. "Son, just put down the knife," said the officer. Lou held up the knife and dropped it on the ground. He put his hands up and walked over to the cops. "No, Lou, it was me. I did it." Jeff had tears running down his face. "Huh? Poor bro. Trying to take the blame for what I did. Well, take me away." The police led Lou out to the patrol car. "Lou, tell them it was me. Tell them I was the one who beat up those kids." Jeff's mother put her hands on his shoulders. "Jeff, please, you don't have to lie. We know it's Lou. You can't stop. You can stop." Jeff watched hopelessly as the cop car speeds off with Lou inside. A few minutes later, Jeff's dad pulled him to the driveway. Seeing Jeff's face and knowing something was wrong. Son, what is it?" Jeff couldn't answer. His vocal cords were strained from crying. Instead, Jeff's mother walked his father inside to break the bad news to him, as Jeff wept in the driveway. After an hour or so, Jeff walked back into the house, seeing his parents were both shocked, sad, and disappointed. He couldn't look at them. He couldn't see how they thought of Lou when it was his fault. He just went to sleep, trying to get the whole thing off of his mind. 2 days went by, with no word from Lou at JDC, no friends to hang out with, nothing but sadness and guilt. That is, until Saturday, when Jeff woke up by his mother with a happy, sunshiny face. "Jeff, it's the day," she said as she opened the curtains and let light flood into his room. What's today?" Jeff asked as he stirs awake. "Why, it's Billy's party." He was now fully awake. "Mom, you're joking, right? You don't expect me to go to some kid's party after?" There was a long pause. "Jeff, we both know what happened. I think this party could be the thing that brightens up the past days. Now, get dressed." Jeff's mother walked out of the room and downstairs to get ready herself. He fought himself to get up, and he picked out a random shirt and a pair of jeans and walked downstairs. He saw his mother and father dressed up, his mother in a dress and his father in a suit. He thought, why would they ever wear such fancy clothes to a kid's party? "Son, is that all you're gonna wear?" "Better than not wearing too much," he said. His mother pushed down the feeling to yell at him and hit it with a smile. "Now, Jeff, we may be overdressed, but this is how you go if you want to make an impression," said his father. Jeff grunted and went back up to his room. "I don't have any fancy clothes," he yelled down the stairs. "Just pick something," his mother yelled. He looked around his closet for what he would call fancy. He found a pair of black dress pants and he had for special occasions and an undershirt. He couldn't find a shirt to go with it, though. He looked around and only found striped and patterned shirts, none of which goes with dress pants. Finally, he found a white hoodie and put it on. "You're wearing that?" they both said. His mother looked at her watch. "Oh, no time to change, let's just go," she said as she herded Jeff and his father out the door. They crossed the street over to Barbara's and Billy's house. They knocked on the door and at it appeared that Barbara, just like his parents, were way overdressed. As they walked inside, all Jeff could see were adults, no kids. "The kids are outside playing in the yard. How about you go meet some of them, Jeff?" said Barbara. Jeff walked outside to a yard full of kids. They were running around in weird cowboy costumes and shooting each other with plastic guns. He might as well be standing in a Toys R Us. Suddenly, a kid came up to him and handed him a toy gun and a hat. "Hey, wanna play?" he said. No, kid. I'm way too old for this stuff." The kid looked at him with that weird puppy dog face. "Please?" said the kid. "Fine," Jeff said as he put on the hat and started to pretend shoot at the kids. At first he thought it was totally ridiculous, but then he started to actually have fun. It might have not been super cool, but it was the first time he had done something that took his mind off of Lou. So he played with the kids for a while until he heard a noise. A weird rolling noise. Then it hit him. Randy, Troy, Keith all jumped over the fence on their skateboards. Jeff dropped the fake gun, ripped off the hat, and stared. Randy looked at Jeff with a burning hatred. "Hello, Jeff, is it?" he said. "We have some unfinished business." Jeff saw his bruised nose. "I think we're even. I beat the crap out of you. And you got my brother sent to JDC. Randy got an angry look in his eyes. "Oh, no. No. I don't go for even. I go for winning. You may have kicked our asses that day, but not today." As he said that, Randy rushed Jeff. They both fell to the ground. Randy punched Jeff in the nose, and Jeff grabbed him by his ears and headbutted him. Jeff pushed Randy off of him, and both rose to their feet. Kids were screaming, and parents were running out to the house. Troy and Keith both pulled out guns from their pockets. "No one interrupts, or the guts will fly," they said. Randy pulled a knife on Jeff and stabbed him into his shoulder. Jeff screamed and fell to his knees. Randy started kicking him in the face. After 3 kicks, Jeff grabbed his foot and twists it, causing Randy to fall to the ground. Jeff stood up and walked towards the back door. Troy grabbed him. "Need some help?" He picks up Jeff by the back of the collar and throws him through the patio door. As Jeff tries to stand, he was kicked to the ground. Randy repeatedly starts kicking Jeff until he starts to cough out blood. "Come on, Jeff, fight me!" He picks up Jeff and throws him into the kitchen. Randy sees a bottle of vodka on the counter and smashes the glass over Jeff's head. Fight! He throws Jeff back into the living room. Come on, Jeff. Look at me. Jeff glances up at his face riddled with blood. I was the one who got your brother sent to JDC. And now you're just going to sit here and let him rot in there for a whole year? You should be ashamed. Jeff starts to get up. Oh, finally. You stand and fight. Jeff is now at his feet, blood and vodka on his face. Once again, he gets that strange feeling, the one in which he hasn't felt for a while. Finally, he's up, says Randy as he runs at Jeff. That's when it happened. Something inside Jeff snaps. His psyche is destroyed. All rational thinking is gone. All he can do is kill. He grabs Randy and pile drives him into the ground. He gets on top of him and punches him straight in the heart. The punch causes Randy's heart to stop. As Randy gasps for breath, Jeff hammers down on him, punch after punch after punch. Blood gushes from Randy's body until he takes one final breath and dies. Everyone's looking at Jeff now. The parents, the crying kids, even Troy and Keith. Although they easily break from their gaze and point the guns at Jeff. Jeff, seeing the guns trained on him, runs for the stairs. As he runs, Troy and Keith let out a fire on him, each shot missing. Jeff runs up the stairs. He hears Troy and Keith follow behind. As they let out their final rounds of bullets, Jeff ducks into a bathroom. He grabs the towel rack and rips it off of the wall. Troy and Keith race in, knives ready. Troy swings his knife at Jeff, who backs away and bangs the towel rack onto Troy's face. Troy goes down hard, and now all that's left is Keith. He was more agile than Troy, though. He ducks when Jeff swings the towel rack. He dropped the knife and grabs Jeff by the neck and pushes him into the wall. A thing of bleach fell down on top of him from the top shelf. It burnt both of them, and they started to scream. Jeff wiped his eyes as best as he could. He pulled back the towel rack and swung it straight into Keith's head. As he lay there, bleeding to death, he let out an ominous smile. "What's so funny?" asked Jeff. Keith pulled out a lighter and switched it on. "What's funny," he said, "is that you're covered in bleach and alcohol." Jeff's eyes widened as Keith threw the lighter at him. As soon as the flame made contact with him, the flame ignited the alcohol in the vodka. While the alcohol burned him, the bleach bleached his skin. Jeff let out a terrible screech as he caught on fire. As he tried to roll out the fire, but it was no use. The alcohol had made him a walking inferno. He ran down the hall and fell down the stairs. Everyone started screaming as they saw Jeff, now a man on fire, drop to the ground, nearly dead. The last thing Jeff saw was his mother and his other parents trying to extinguish the flames. That's when he passed out. When Jeff awoke, he had a cast around his face. He couldn't see a thing, but he felt a cast on his shoulder, stitches all over his body, and he tried to stand up, but realized there was some sort of tube in his arm. And when he tried to get up, it fell out and a nurse rushed in. "Oh, I don't think You can get out of bed just yet, she said as she put him back in bed and reinserted the tube. Jeff sat there with no vision and no idea of what his surroundings were. Finally, after hours, he heard his mother. "Honey, are you okay?" she asked Jeff, though he couldn't answer. His face was covered and he was unable to speak. "Oh, honey, I got great news. After all the witnesses told the police that Randy confessed of trying to attack you, they decided to let Lou go." This made Jeff almost bolt up, stopping halfway, remembering the tube. "He'll be out by tomorrow, and then you two will be together again." Jeff's mother hugs Jeff and says her goodbyes. The next couple of weeks were those of Jeff visited by his family. Then came the day where his bandages were to be removed. His family were all there to see what he would look like. As the doctors unwrapped the bandages from Jeff's face, everyone was on the edge of their seats until the last bandage holding the cover over Jeff's face was almost removed. "Well, let's hope for the best," said the doctor. He quickly pulls the cloth, letting the rest fall from Jeff's face. Jeff's mother screams at the sight of his face. Lou and his dad stared awestruck at his face. What happened to my face?" Jeff said. He rushed out of bed and ran into the bathroom. He looked in the mirror and saw the cause of distress. His face. It was horrible. His lips were burnt to a deep shade of red. His face was turned to a pure white color, and his hair singed from brown to black. He slowly put his hand to his face. It had sort of a leathery feel to it now. He looked back at his family, then back at the mirror. Jeff, said Lou. It's not that bad. Not bad? Said Jeff. It's perfect. His family were equally surprised. Jeff started laughing uncontrollably. His parents noted that his left eye and hand were twitching. Jeff, are you okay? Okay? I never felt more happy. Look at me. His face goes perfectly with me. He couldn't stop laughing. He stroked his face, feeling it, looking at it in the mirror. What caused this? Well, you may recall when Jeff was fighting Randy, something in his mind, his sanity snapped. Now he was left as a crazy killing machine that his parents didn't know. Doctor, said Jeff's mom, is my son alright? You know, in the head? Oh yes, this behavior is typical for patients that have been on very large amount of painkillers. If his behavior doesn't change in a few weeks, bring him back here, and we'll give him a full psychological test. Oh, thank you, doctor. Jeff's mother went over to Jeff. Jeff, sweetie, it's time to go. Jeff looks away from the mirror, his face formed into a crazy smile. Okay, Mommy. His mother took him by the shoulder and took him to go get his clothes. This is what he came in, said the lady at the desk. Jeff's mom looked down at the black dress pants and white hoodie her son wore. Now they were clean of blood and stitched together. Jeff's mother led him to his room and made him put his clothes on. Then they left, not knowing that this was their final day of life. Later that night, Jeff's mother woke to the sound coming from the bathroom. It sounded as if someone was crying. Slowly she walked over to see what it was. When she looked into the bathroom, she saw a horrendous sight. Jeff had taken a knife and carved a smile into his cheeks. "Jeff, what are you doing?" asked his mother. Jeff looked over to his mother. I couldn't keep smiling, Mommy. It hurt after a while. Now I can smile forever. Jeff's mother noticed his eyes ringed in black. "Jeff, your eyes!" His eyes were seemingly never closing. I couldn't see my face. I got tired and my eyes started to close, so I burnt the eyelids so I can forever see myself and my new face. Jeff's mother started slowly to back away, seeing that her son was going insane. "What's wrong, Mommy? Aren't I beautiful?" "Yes, son," she said. "Yes, you are. Let me go get Daddy and so he can see your face." She ran into the room and shook Jeff's dad from his sleep. "Honey, get the gun. She stopped as she saw Jeff in the doorway holding a knife. "Mommy, you lied." That was the last thing they would ever hear as Jeff rushes them with a knife, getting both of them. His brother Lou woke up, startled by some noise. He didn't hear anything else, so he just shut his eyes and tried to go back to sleep. As he was on the border of slumber, he got the strangest feeling that someone was watching him. He looked up before Jeff's hand covered his mouth. He slowly raised the knife, ready to plunge it into Lou. Lou thrashed here and there, trying to escape Jeff's grip. "Shh," Jeff said. "Just go to sleep."